Today on Soul Work for Moms. There's this mom at my children's school. You may have one too. She's the epitome of cool, calm, and collected. She runs her own business. Her oldest just graduated from high school and now attends an Ivy League college. And every time I see her children, they're kind and considerate. I've never seen her lose her cool. Oh, and did I mention she has 6 kids? Today, I chat with Nicole Reblando of the eco-friendly clothing and jewelry company, Halo Minor. I interviewed Nicole about a month ago, and that's the interview you'll hear during the first half of this episode. The second half is a conversation I had with her when I interviewed her a second time. You see, right after our first interview, she had some big changes occur in her life and some tough choices to make. They're choices that I think every mother can relate to in one way or another, and Nicole very eloquently describes how she went about making a pretty hard decision. Hear our conversation right after this. I'm Michelle Duncan-Wilson, and last year I created a workshop for moms to get together and work through some of the things they were struggling with. The feedback from the workshop was great, but the thing I heard over and over again from the mothers was that they loved hearing all the other women who shared their struggles and strengths in mothering. I wanted to create an outlet for more of that, and the result is this podcast. Join me as I interview a different mother every week. You can listen in as women from all different backgrounds and stages in life share their experiences in motherhood. You'll also hear from expert guests who share their ideas on how to take the hard parts of mothering and use them to grow personally and spiritually. I call it Soul Work for Moms, Evolution Through Mothering. Welcome to the show. Is the owner of Halo Minor, and she has been a mother for quite some time. Nicole, tell us a little more about yourself, your family, and what Halo Minor is.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a mom. I have 6 children, ages 19 to 7. And there are one's in college. I have a few in high school and a few still in elementary school. And about 6 years ago, my business partner, Pam Fellerhoff, and I decided to create and launch Halo Minor, which is basically a company that finds cast-off, repurposed things and make them new again. So we use aluminum cans, fabric samples, old sweaters, you name it, and we can create new items again. So we're currently in about 35 different stores, and we're nationwide. So it's just, and what I do is, when we create things, I can work at my own schedule. So that's how it all works. Anyway.
Because that's the first question that comes to mind when I hear that you have 6 children and you own your own business. How does that work? What does your day look like?
Well, it's caught up in little windows of time. So I'll get up with my kids the first round. They go to an early start school at 6 o'clock, get them situated, find out what their day's like and any plans for the day that deviates from normal. And then they out the door at 6:50. It sounds very regimented, but they just like to get there early. And then I have about almost a 2-hour window of time where I can either do housework, I can do Halo Minor work, any of that. So that's a nice 2-hour, chunk of time that I have, so that I can balance activities. And then I get the kids to school. I have to be at school around 9. And then I have about a 6-hour window of activities where I can structure my day with whatever I'm, have planned, like prepping orders, making product, doing housework. So it balances. My life is balanced, and I don't know. I have like an internal clock of what is needed, and so because I can have a flexible schedule, I can work out if I have a doctor's appointment, the kids forgot something at school. It all works out. And one thing I really, with my guys, well, this is a tangent, but I really focus on we're a team. I always say we're a team player. So the kids all, like this morning, before school, I had ran to our studio and picked up an order, and then I dropped off another order at Whole Foods before dropping them off at school. They were great.
And they came with you.
They came with me. They were awesome. No complaints.
But there've got to be complaints sometimes, though, right?
I think so. I think, but you know what I mean? I think that for the most part, I view this as being not a role model, but for them to have a vision of doing something besides not being a mom isn't the right thing to say, because being a mom is the best and the most rewarding thing. But to have a goal, to look forward to something, to have a creative outlet, to work towards a bigger vision, because our whole mantra for Halo Minor is being eco-friendly, having a lesser footprint. So I think that it all balances, and I'm just trying to think if I've hear any complaints from the guys. I can't articulate it. Maybe I need to talk to them about it, but they're really supportive.
You have fostered such an environment of that team that they don't even feel the need to complain. And I also am hearing that you have a mindset of team. And so maybe if there are little complaints here and there, that they don't even really register with you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I wish that's a good question. I like if I'm doing an art show and I'm not available to pick them up from a play date, or my older daughters from a sleepover or whatever. I mean, they have to work it out, and they have to realize that, because I had this happen last weekend, the weekend before that, where my daughter gave me no notice. She just says, "I need to be picked up at this time," and I am like, that wasn't my day scheduled to do that. You'll have to work it out. And she did. She was fine, but she needs to know that I need more notice. And she does know that, but it's just, you have to not be the example, but follow through on what you say, because if you just always waffle, they're not going to respect that.
And I'm hearing natural consequences too, that it's not, there's no punishing, it's just a very loving, natural consequence of, I'm sorry, sweetie, I needed more notice than that. And so I need you to find the right home.
Yeah. And she did. It worked out perfectly. She had to wait about an hour, but it worked fine. And, it was good.
You have 6 children, which I would say is more than average. Did you always know that you wanted to have a lot of children?
Yes. I wouldn't say 6, but I definitely 4, 5. But when I was young, I am envisioning doing pretty much exactly what I'm doing right now. It's really weird having my own business, working at home, and having lots of children. And that is, it's sort of, just going for the goal. When Pam and I we started talking about this, I was just like, this is it. This is exactly what I want to do. And that, there's certain things to being an entrepreneur that you really, do you need. It's the drive, the desire, the passion is one of them. And we definitely have that in spades.
Yeah. And what about growing up? What was your childhood like growing up? What did that look like?
Well, I am the youngest of 8, and it's nothing crazy religious. It's just that it's there was many families that had more than 8 children, and it's just growing up with a loving family. I just remember, my dad worked second shift most of my growing up, so my mom was it, and she was awesome. Just always welcoming, creative. There was 8 of us that were so different, and she nurtured that non-competitiveness to just be each other's cheerleader. I guess what I emulate with my kids. I had like a cognitive sort of realization that that's what I want, and that's why we're all not successful. We're all happy human beings in our own right, and that's. So having that role model as a mom, and my dad too. My dad was like the backbone, that you need that yin and yang sort of balance where, she's going to be the nice, kind way. But if you don't get the nice, kind way, you're going to get the dad way, which is, straight up, this is what's got to be. And it balanced us. I can't express to you. I don't know. It was really a fun, nurturing way. And I grew up, my dad worked for the airlines, and my mom was a stay-home mom. And it was just this whole different world that I grew up with, where we traveled a lot and we did really interesting things. But we were out in the country, so we had this really nurturing environment, but we're also sort of worldly, and that's why I felt like my husband is of a different race, a different culture, and but the content and character, I mean, he is a great guy, and when I'm going all over the place, but it really made us connect when we realized that of all the differences, our core beings are the same.
Did your husband come from a big family?
No, he's an only child, so he definitely wanted a lot of children. So it was we talked about it. We wanted them close, so they grow up together, and it's good.
And what about sleep? I'm imagining if you have kids in elementary, sleep looks different to you now than it did maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I know that I have for the elementary age, I have a strict bedtime. We have a 9:30 bedtime, and they have to be in bed and with a book, no e-reader or iPad, iPod, a book. And then my older children that are in high school, I do not have a set bedtime because I feel, this is my thing, is that I'm raising adults. I'm raising productive citizens, and they need to be able to regulate their own time and figure it out. And they do. I mean, if they're upstairs, they're studying. If it's 11 o'clock at night or doing something, but normally they get it done. I am really proud of them. But without, my oldest daughter, Alex, was such a motivated go-getter. Will is my mellow guy, but he's definitely on the right path. Olivia's, I don't know. I'm just hardwired hard work and dedication in my guys. And Harry, who's 7th grader, very much so. He is he's doing 2 sports. It's pretty much, I think he got 1 B, but they're pretty much on the right path. I'm pretty happy with it.
And if you feel like someone maybe isn't on the right path, like if you walked in and it was midnight and someone was, just messing around, how do you handle that? These are the questions that when mothers, I think when we see someone that looks like, oh my gosh, you've got all these wonderful, kind children, which you do, how do you handle those situations?
Well, I am straight up with my kids. If I feel like they're on the right path or doing the right thing, we're fine. But if they're not, like my daughter Olivia wanted to go over to a friend's at 8 o'clock last night, I'm like, that's just not going to happen. Because, first of all, we have to drive her there, then we have to pick her up. It just doesn't make sense. And this the cognitive reasoning of why versus I said so. And I think that if they know you have their best interest at heart, and there's no hidden agenda, they listen. And one of my things I do say to them is that I'm on your team. I'm here to help you. It's like I'm not. I think with my oldest daughter, I'm now sort of entering the friend phase.
The one that's in college.
In college, but with my other, and I'm still not quite there yet. I'm still advisory person, because definitely making her own decisions. She's, independent. She's living, 800 miles away or something like that, 8 hours away.
I love that because I think that a lot of mothers struggle with balancing that we're trying to raise children that can take care of themselves, but that doesn't mean permissive. That doesn't mean that if your child wants to go to a friend's house at 8 o'clock on a school night, that you're letting them make their own choices and just letting them do that.
Right. Well, it's got to fit the family too. It's not just all kid-centric.
Yeah.
They have chores, and Olivia didn't do her chore, and that was another reason. We're all a team. If she's not going to be a team player, and I have to always remind her, she hasn't got her. She'll be 16. She hasn't got her temps yet. I don't know if it's a bad parent thing, but I don't feel she's ready to be driving, and I've sent her links and explaining to her, but I can't have her act irrationally and be behind the wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a mother's intuition too.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with the same thing. My daughter is 16 and does not have her temps yet. And she doesn't seem very interested. And that, for me, there are times that I really wish that she had her driver's license because it would be much more convenient. But I have to also honor that if she doesn't really seem to be pushing it, then she's probably not ready. And
that's right.
I
I've
shouldn't
heard
be
that.
pushing it either.
That's right. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing or favorite way to spend time with your family?
Basically, even though I have 6 children, I feel like I've got 2 pods of children. So my younger pod, my younger 3, like spring break, outings, we're always together. And it was the same way with my younger ones. When my younger 3 or older 3 were young, we were always together doing stuff. And there was a little bit of a gap between Olivia and Harry, but for some reason, developmental wise, right now, it's like huge gap. Like Olivia is so independent, Will's so independent, or homebody. He just really is a homebody. That they, we just do. Well, they're always invited to go. Like we'll go ice skating with the younger 3. We're going to go to Perfect North, goes tubing. Will just has no desire to be there. I mean, he's going to go skiing with his friends. It's just your peer group becomes the most important group in teenage years. And, I'm not going to push back. I always be inclusive and always know where they are. But, it all goes full circle. Like my older daughter, Alex, I mean, she loves being home during break. I mean, she went out with her friends a little bit, but she was home. And she loves it. At least I think. At least I think.
I hear that you're just trying to honor who they are and what their desires are, how they want to spend their time as well, versus trying to tell them how they need to spend their free time.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I feel like if I feel they're being productive, and I know Will, he has an internal meter of goodness. This guy is just I don't know. He just is always good. He's been tested time and time again. Make the good choice. With peer pressure, with friends drinking, won't touch it. His parent, or anything. I mean, politically correct. He'll correct the boys, the younger 2 boys. If they say something that's not politically correct, he is like, no, this is the way you're supposed to. And it's sort of like, I love that about him. And then like lunches, he packed lunches. Everything is eco-friendly. Washable or recyclable. He's very conscientious about that, and that's him.
Since you have 6 children, you have a unique perspective that not many other mothers have. Do you think that children are just born who they are, that their personality just comes with them at birth, and that you see that as they grow?
I would say that to a certain extent. There is a bit of nature nurture. I mean, like my oldest daughter, Alex, always go-getter, always trying to do the right thing, and very almost to the point of not OCD about it, but just sort of like really conscientious about being above board. Because I was concerned when she was in kindergarten, because she'd always come to me, it's like, Mom, I touched someone's toy. And I'm like, so I went to the school therapist, and it's like, she's always coming, and she's like, you know what? That's called a conscience. And that's okay. And I was like, oh, okay. And I don't know, like Olivia. I mean, Olivia, I think, is my more wild daughter. Like she really has a lot of friends who go to different places, but I know she's a hard worker. And as I hate to use this word, snarky as she may be, she also has the biggest heart. You have to just get through that. And it's just being a teen, and she'll be fine. But she's always been that way. Has that little edge of ever since the little. And you just got to see through it. And one word that someone described Olivia as the warrior princess. This was like in 4th grade, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like.
What's one thing that you hope that your children can look back on their childhood and know?
That they were loved for who they were. Mm-hmm.
And what is one thing, if you could share a piece of wisdom, a piece of advice, what would you want all mothers to know?
They listen to you and follow you, and just know that loving them for who they are is most important. I've got 2 moms that really come to mind that I think are role models.
Yes,
okay,
please.
First of all, like my mom, of course. I just love her spirit, her energy, her always being inclusive and loving each one of us for who we are. And then the second mom that comes to mind is another mom of 8, Trisha Ronner, and I love her. I met her years ago, and just her sense of community and caring for every soul, um, and just nurturing her kids to find their path. I definitely a kind soul, and you can tell by her kids that they're just dynamic.
What was it about her that drew you into her?
Well, I just think that she was just non-judgmental, because I think there is a stigma with having bigger families, and she's just all.
And what stigma do you think that is?
Well, I just think, oh, you have another one.
Oh,
I don't get that much, because I feel like I always am above board with making sure they don't feel neglected. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that just accepting and thinking outside the box with, like, I know I nursed each one for about 18 months, give or take, and just really just following your own path, following your gut, and being a good person. I mean, that's very vague, but just the golden rule as much as possible. And, I think that really, with parenting, I think that just comes into play, and so much.
So this is where the first interview with Nicole ends. She talked a lot about balance and fostering a feeling of teamwork in her family. She also emphasized more than once how her mindset is always to be setting her children up to make choices for themselves. After speaking with her, I'm starting to understand why she always looks so calm at school. Coming up next, Nicole tells us about that big change she made in her life and how she made that decision. Before we jump back in, I want to hear from you. What have you heard so far that struck a chord with you? You can connect with me and the other moms listening wherever you are most online. If you're on Facebook, join the private Soul Work for Moms community group. I'm also on Instagram, and of course, I would love for you to chat with us on the blog at soulworkformoms.com. Now let's get back to the show. Nicole, thanks so much for coming back on to talk with us again.
Yeah, no problem. That's great.
So the last time we spoke, it was about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
You were you were actually during the interview, I think, driving to a show a couple hours away for Halo Minor. And things have really changed for you in the last month. So tell us what's going on.
Well, both of my parents are in their 80s, and my dad had a stroke about 18 months ago, and then my sister has taken on the lion's share of that. But over the Christmas, my mom has severe osteoporosis, and her two vertebrae broke during the Christmas break, and so basically leaving her almost paralyzed or in paralyzing pain. So anyway, and I'm the executor of her estate and power of attorney, and I just was like, how can I do all this and take care of my business and my family? So I decided to step down as president and CEO of Halo Minor, and we're in discussion with Pam Fellerhoff, my business partner, that I'm going to take part of the company that is very, very manageable, that I can do from home, which is the jewelry aspect, and own that. But I just really been soul searching ever since all this happened with my mom, and and sort of watching how I have to step up into more of a authoritative role within. I have to be the parent or the caregiver for my parents now, besides my own children. And I don't know, I just felt like it was time.
Wow. So during our conversation a month ago, I remember you saying that you felt like life was balanced, you have a flexible schedule, and that you really, this was the life that you had envisioned for yourself.
Well, it is. that's why, I feel like I still will have my foot in the door in the business with the jewelry aspect.
Yeah.
But the clothing and the purses and the manufacturing with that it's extremely time consuming. And I love it though. I really, really love it. I still, Pam and I talk design all the time, but because I just love that whole aspect. But I don't know, I just had sort of an epiphany within the month. My mom telling me right before my DC trip that, you are the executor of my estate. And I feel, respecting them and giving them all the what they've given us growing up is important to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you sad? Are you feeling free? All of it?
all of it, every drop. I don't want to leave Pam my business partner, in a lurch. I've given 3 months. I'm going to be working with her till May to make sure that she understands and help her take on my responsibility, and give customers and time to communicate with both of us, because each store, each buyer is different. And, to maintain the quality relationship with each one is, I think, important. And at the same time, it's liberating. I don't have the stress of, oh gosh, I gotta, contact that buyer, have to make that order, prep that order. But I know Pam can do it. She's very talented and a gifted gal. It's just been we as a team, we always really complement each other on our skill sets. But it just, I think it's almost a growing up phase too, where, I'm doing the jewelry aspect on my own. She's going to be doing the fabric aspect on her own. And I think, we'll always be working together on something. We're kindred spirits, so to speak. But, I just don't want the weight of all having to maintain, like, keeping all the accounting and, all that. I don't have to do that. And then I can free up to have the mental space to make sure my mom is okay, because she, being, a stoic older woman who's very independent, may not want to tell you she's hurting or needs something. You sort of have to be present with her, check in regularly, come visit more regularly, and it's not so much time, but it's the energy put forth in that. And I don't want her to, I don't know. I just love my mom. My mom's, I don't say it's cliche, but always been my best friend, but she's just been my support, rock, devil's advocate, sort of what you need in your life to make you feel grounded and loved. So I feel like, when, it was like no brainer to me when, all this was transpiring over the past month. It's like, I have to do this.
And was it a gradual build up to that decision, or was there a line in the sand moment when you just knew?
A little of both. I mean, I've kept thinking about it, over Christmas, and then I was talking to my older daughter who's in college, and I just said, I'm stepping down from Halo Minor. Then I told my husband, and then I was like, I'm gonna write this letter to Pam on Sunday. It was like 4 days later. And so I did that, and it was natural. Everything flowed. And I was like, it just was time. And I knew it was time, because as being with balance, I feel like as our company grows, I'll be out of balance with like seeing my mom's needs and my kids' needs, who, my oldest son, oldest son, he's my second child, but my oldest son, he's going to be a senior this year too, and they need you. One of the advice my mom gave me years ago is they need you when they're babies, and they need you when they're in their teens. They may not think they need you, your kids, but they need you to help guide them and to listen and set boundaries and be consistent with those boundaries. So
when we were messaging back and forth to set up the interview for today, you sent me a link of an article that you said really helped you, which I will link in the show notes for everyone else to read. But talk to me a little bit about the article and what it said and what that really helped you with in the process.
Well, the thing that struck with me is being brave. You can be stuck in a situation and be afraid to really say your true emotions and what's going on. And I think that that article really said, it's okay to make change. It's okay to say this is not all right and move on with it versus being stuck, being too afraid to hurt someone's feelings, too afraid to make a move. This is an end of one chapter and on to another chapter. It just was like an epiphany. When I read that, I was like, this is it.
Yeah. And I also remember from our last conversation, you talked about your children and how you were saying they listen to you and they follow you. And I think that you're modeling for them that there is a lot to life and we can be doing things that do make us very fulfilled and are making us happy. And there are responsibilities that we have or longings that we have to be there for our parents. And you didn't quit Halo Minor because you're still doing the jewelry piece, but that quitting something, you don't have to just stick in something just for the sake of sticking with it, right?
Right. And I feel like I'm not leaving Pam necessarily in a lurch. Like she is, we're in 35 different stores. We're a national change. She's in a good place. I don't know. It was just balance and knowing that I can't be there for everything and everybody, but family comes first.
Yeah.
And I'm just pulling away from the business aspect, the bigger picture right now, because they need me now.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to bring you back on because that is life. That is what, as mothers and as children
Absolutely.
of our own parents, that is life. And these are the decisions that we're having to make every day. And they're really intense decisions. And it's hard to know if you're making the right decision in the moment. And I think that you're being so brave and so eloquent in how you are describing what's important to you and that you are modeling that for your children. Because I think it could be really easy also to try to do it all, to try to keep going and keep doing the full Halo Minor picture and take care of your parents and take care of your children. And at some point, there's just too much.
Right. That's how I felt. I felt like, we're still going to be going full steam. And then I just know this is a pivotal time for them and to me to be somewhere else. And, I've got, with having 6 kids, I could always have that excuse. She's got 6 kids, she's busy. Everybody's busy. You make your own busy, but you also make the choice to be unbusy. And I've chosen to be unbusy right now. If that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah, totally. So how are you feeling now after making that decision? How does life feel for you right now?
It's sort of melancholy, because my kids are still in shock. My tweens, because they've lived it, since they could probably earliest remember. They're like, you're going to do what? What's going on? They'll still be a part whatever I do, whether they like it or not. I don't know. As a person grows, they may have to step back and regroup before growing in the wrong direction. And I want them to be there with me as to see me grow. With a change of career path, a change of life, because my parents are thinking about selling their house and, my kids are going through that transition of, we can't sell their house. We can't sell grandma's house, grandma and grandpa's house. So it's just to be the stability, even though there's not chaos going on, isn't the right word, but to be that comfort person that they can talk to and, process the change that's going on. And having that time and the energy to be there present is important. Yeah, that's where I am. I don't know. It wasn't like a long process of thinking about it. Just like with what happened with my mom over Christmas break, with all of her vertebrae breaking and so much pain. And then realizing, I've got this order to fill. I've got to go over here to this and this. And I'm like, I need to be with her. And, I don't want to be like, I give up my life for my parents. I'm still doing this. And knowing me, I know that I'll be doing something crazy.
Is there anything else that you feel like you want to get across specifically that we can talk about the process or?
Just being there for Pam, being there to help the change with her and making sure that the transition is good on her end, because it's about ownership on all parts. Like she's taking ownership of this, and I'm taking ownership of the other part that's smaller. But it's important just to not the healing process, but the process of she's relearning a whole bunch of stuff, and just to be a support person for just the community and having it thought through. I've been thinking about this before Christmas, but I really wanted, when everything came in to fruition with my mom's health and my sister taking off last year from her work to take care of my dad, and I have to step up. I feel not morally responsible, but it's needed.
Yeah. And yeah, that taking the responsibility to voice what you need, but to not put someone else in a lurch, not to say there's so much going on in my life and here's a 2 weeks notice, deal with it kind of thing. But to say, to be honest and vulnerable, like, this is what's going on in my life, and this is how I feel like I'm needing to go. How can I support you while we go through this process?
Absolutely. Making sure that she's supported and feels that I'm here for her if she needs me. But I need to be with my family too, more. It's a healthy, positive thing that I feel that the process is going.
Yeah. And I think that with our modern day setup of nuclear family, we're all cut off from one another. These are decisions that people are having to make all the time, but we don't see that.
Yes,
and we don't see how people go through that. So we have no model of what is a good way to go through these transitions, what is maybe a not so healthy way to go through these. And so I really appreciate your vulnerability coming into this community of mothers to show the process of you going through what is a healthy transition, even though some people may interpret it as sad or that's, I'm so sorry. We don't have to interpret it like that. We can look at these as, like you said, which I think is so great, it's a new beginning.
Right.
The next chapter.
Right. Pam may want to do something different, and because we've always had to collaborate, this is a partnership. And now if she really wants to do more workshops and really make products for that aspect. And not that I don't like workshops, it's just not my passion. I like working with buyers and stores, and so it's like a living thing. It's not just a stagnant item, a stagnant business. It's growing and morphing into something new that'll be wonderful and will fit her, and then I'll fit something that fit me that'll fit into the lifestyle right now that I have. I'm really excited.
Awesome. So I have to end this way. What are your parting words of wisdom for any mothers that feel themselves in a similar situation, having to make some difficult decisions of transitioning in their life?
Don't do anything rash. Really think through long term what is best via maybe short term, like you need this, but you still have to think, how can I help in the next year, 2 years? What are my short-term goals? What are my long-term goals? And then just maybe write it down, journal it, but just think it through. Think big picture, how you can help each person differently in your family, in your situation. And, financially, that too, if you could go the part-time or, like I'm taking part of the company so I can still have some income, still have a creative outlet, is important to make ends meet, to be fulfilled as a person, as an individual, yet balance it with taking care of family. So every situation is different. I chose this career because of the flexibility and that, but when it's getting not too big, but to do this job, the honor that it needs someone full time. And right now I'm nervous. I don't want to just give the full time when I need to be with family. So just take time and it'll come to you.
Many thanks to Nicole for sharing her journey with us in such a vulnerable way. Nicole faces a situation that many of us mothers do, which is deciding how to shift our time and attention to the things and people that need us most. I took so much from what she said, but some of the things that stuck out to me are that she made the decision to shift her role so that family can come first, But she didn't leave Halo Minor completely. She's keeping her toe in the water by taking the jewelry side of the business, something that she feels is more manageable for her current situation. She's also made a point to step down in a way that's responsible. She didn't make a rash decision. That brings us to this week's Soul Work action step. Think about the balance in your life right now. Is it working for you, or could something shift? It may not be something as drastic as stepping down from your company, and it may not even be in the direction of giving more time to the family. It's possible that you are someone who gives everything to your family, and the shift could be doing something just for you. If you want to dive deeper into these thoughts, there's a free soul worksheet for you with journaling questions based on the content of today's show. It's in the show notes at soulworkformoms.com/Nicole Reblando. That's where you'll also find the link to the article that Nicole references and links to Nicole's business, Halo Minor. I'll end today by reminding you that you matter. We need your courage and we need your strength. When you push through your vulnerabilities and heal your wounds through soul work, you heal the world, and that is evolution through mothering. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.